Rishi Sunak is the one who presented himself at conference as somebody who could change things up. This just looks like more of the same, and indeed it looks like, perhaps to some, desperation rather than innovation. On one hand, you're going to see people who say that's great to bring back David Cameron. One of the criticisms of the cabinet is that it's a second 11, it's weak, it's supine, it doesn't have enough experience. So to bring back a respected former Prime Minister into the Foreign Office will bring the cabinet some much needed heft, and people might well congratulate Rishi Sunak in sort of appointing wisdom and experience to the team as it prepares to fight a very, very difficult election in 2024. On the other hand, you'll have those inevitably saying, well, this isn't change, this is continuity. You know, if you think David Cameron is the answer, then one might want to ask what the question is. Why are you going backwards when you should be going forwards in your own vision? Suella Braverman's future was hanging in the balance, I think, for some days, if not maybe weeks, because she was constantly at loggerheads with Rishi Sunak and seemingly freelancing too much. Now, on one hand, that was convenient to the Prime Minister because she could basically throw red meat to the right wing of the party, absorb a lot of the criticism from the left, and basically allow Rishi Sunak to keep his powder dry. So a little bit like Priti Patel before her, it is quite convenient to a Prime Minister to have somebody copping all of the flack for the Prime Minister for his most controversial policies. So in that regard, she was in quite a safe position. But then the reason why Rishi Sunak has sacked her is he's trying to reclaim unity in his cabinet. And there was a sense to which she was operating against his best interests, not just with the whole situation with last week's opinion piece where Downing Street recommended she make changes and she basically refused. I mean, that is not collective responsibility. That's kind of like a mini one-woman rebellion within cabinet. So there's an extent to which that can't really continue, otherwise it makes the Prime Minister look weak. However, let's be honest, he is risking quite a lot in sacking her. Some say, oh well, Suella, you know, she's a fringe player, she doesn't have very much support, she didn't do very well in the leadership race in July 2022, couldn't summon enough support to get over the line in the third ballot, and therefore she's not much of a threat to anyone. However, she does have little pockets of support within the party. She's got that common sense group with John Hayes and others who were very much backing her when it came to any past leadership bids. She's then got the sort of new conservative group that are quite right-wing and very got an emphasis on family, people like Miriam Cates and Danny Kruger. They're very much behind the former Home Secretary. And then you've got leavers in general who obviously associate her with her chairmanship of the ERG, the European Research Group. They see her as a staunch Brexiteer, and they liked the fact that she was in cabinet to kind of keep some of the Remainers on their toes. You now unleash Suella Braverman onto the backbenches where arguably she can make more trouble. Leavers, Brexiteers, righties who are already dissatisfied with the Prime Minister's direction of travel, this whole high tax, high spend that is anathema to them, they don't think he's Thatcherite or right-wing enough, have now got another excuse to criticise and contradict his policies. There's an autumn statement coming with Jeremy Hunt likely not to cut taxes. Those people who might have been holding their tongues because Suella Braverman was being supported by the Prime Minister might now think that it's open season to take apart whatever's announced in the autumn statement. The other thing that's a problem, I think, for Rishi Sunak is the timing of all this. I mean, only last month we were all in Manchester listening to the Prime Minister and his Cabinet's vision, not just for the next year of Conservative politics, but he was being very optimistic in saying that he was making decisions now for the long-term future of Great Britain. He's now saying, I'm changing all of the people that presented on stage in Manchester, changing up the Cabinet with a different vision. Well, voters might rightly say, well, what was the point of conference then? Equally, can you really credibly say that you're a change candidate if you're going to bring back David Cameron? that will strike many as continuity. I think the message of what Rishi Sunak has done in sacking Braverman is to say, we don't think we should tilt to the right, we don't think that we should acquiesce to some of the people calling for us to, for instance, leave the ECHR. We think that we should be more moderate to beat Keir Starmer at his own game. They say in politics that it's a good idea to keep your friends close and your enemies closer, and if you disenfranchise an enemy, then you perhaps can only expect there to be more friendly fire from the backbenches.